You're listening to the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring attorney, guest, and former felony prosecutor Eric Faddis.
The DA saying, you know what, we're going to throw this over to the OSBI, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, to see if they can come up with more solid evidence, and maybe then possibly if there's enough to bring a conviction. As of now, the DA saying there isn't. Do you think the OSBI and their resources are going to be able to bring new things to the table far beyond what Sheriff Eddie Virden has done thus far?
You know, what I've seen happen in these scenarios where they kick the investigation up to like Colorado Bureau of Investigation or in this case, the local equivalent, you know, sometimes those entities are not as adept as in terms of investigating homicides. You know, they do a lot of lab work, a lot of analysis, a lot of ballistic stuff, but they don't always do like on the ground investigation, at least in Colorado. And so sometimes when it's kicked to those agencies, we have these high hopes that this, you know, esteemed entity is going to investigate this properly. And sometimes that's just not how it plays out. And so, you know, more power to law enforcement out there. I hope they solve this murder. But at this point, I'm just not holding my breath.
Well, priority and level of importance to the public is one thing. Priority and level of importance to the FBI or the OSBI or what have you is a totally different thing. To the public, we hear BTK, Dennis Rader. Oh my God, is there another victim from 1976? If in fact he is the guy and he is behind bars, or if it is somebody else out there, again, we're talking about 1976. Does it really go high in the priority list of the OSBI to investigate this when they have many other very active cases and limited resources? As we have to remember, it's not just however many people in the world you want on this to investigate. Are they going to put a huge priority on it, just considering there's probably not a huge risk to the public at this moment in time for whoever killed this woman back in 76?
Yeah, Tony, it's a good point. I mean, like you said, if it is the BTK killer, dude behind bars. And thank heavens he's not out in the public posing a risk to anybody. This is a decades-old cold case, happened before I was even born. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, it does have some national prominence. And, you know, the media is watching it. So that is some incentive to, you know, to do a good job and to do what they should do. But in terms of just investing a ton of resources and money and energy and personnel into this, I just don't see it. I just, you know, we absolutely want to get justice with the circumstances we're given. But I think that the authorities there probably shouldn't overextend themselves based on a lot of the factors you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, the public would love to see it. That family, I would love to see it for them. And I hope they do get some answers without a doubt. It's just what amount of resources should be allotted to something like this. Granted, it gets headlines. People are excited, but is it taking away, it'd be my question, from other active investigations where others could potentially, you know, face death from someone, not talking about this case at all, but from others who are out there that they're trying to go after?
Yeah, no, I feel you. And, you know, it's a risk analysis in some sense. And I'm just not sure it makes sense to put all of those resources into this 1976 cold case when, especially if they think they've got the guy, there's nothing further that is going to be done to make it more safe with respect to BTK. He's going to be in prison forever.
Sure. Some of the searches were based on a 2008 letter that Rader wrote from prison describing trophies he'd buried under the foot of his backyard shed, which is where they dug up the other day in Park City, Kansas, and found those items, saying, we have locations provided to us by BTK where he says he has other trophies hidden. We're in the process of working to try to recover those trophies. Eddie Virden, the sheriff, saying that earlier in the week. I guess my other question I have, 2008 is when this letter was written. There's a lot of other writings of BTK that have been sitting literally in an evidence locker since the trial, or not the trial, but since his arrest and his conviction way back. Oh, guess why didn't we look into some of these things sooner? Did no one have their eyes on this? Why now?
Yeah, that's a bit of a head scratcher. And when I was reading up on these cases, hearing BTK refer to these things as trophies was just, I shudder when I hear that word. It's dehumanizing and callous and horrible, which is in line with his gruesome crimes of which he was convicted. But yeah, my gosh, it would probably make sense to look into those things and call some investigation. I don't know why now in 2023, we're just digging all this stuff up when it sounds like we could have done that more than a decade ago. And could that have brought justice for more families? That's a possibility.
It makes you wonder about a lot of the other cases that may be connected with him and the years that were lost, where justice may have been able to be served earlier, but also how many people in this time window between taking a closer look at these things and now have passed on and never did get to see justice for their loved one who was either murdered by him or someone else.
Yeah, that's the thing. When these investigations are delayed for whatever reason, and I'm sure law enforcement has plenty of reasons they would give, and some very well may be valid. Yeah. But when those investigations are delayed, you are potentially robbing these people who have already been victimized of any sense of closure, any sense of justice. And it's just heartbreaking to see that just the passage of time could have divested those victims and their families from the justice they so deserve.
You're consuming the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.